I thought about what I could do beyond a social media post, beyond a donation, but really lead. And in a way, maybe counterintuitively, lead by stepping down from the board position of a major tech company to make way for, like I asked, a black candidate, because we need diversity at the highest levels of business now more than ever. And I say that because it will be in the best interests of Reddit, the company, for that to happen. It's the best interests of every company for that to happen. And we're talking about so many things now, and we're starting to see slowly some progress around change in. But business should be no exception. I think the tech industry is long overdue for that. And we talked about it at length, and I really appreciated all of the counsel and advice and understanding that you showed me, because this, you knew this was not an easy decision. But then once I realized why I needed to do it, it became very easy.
Did you think stepping down from the board would be such big news, or you didn't really think about it? I know I didn't.
I was surprised. I was floored to get so many notes, whether it was from current employees, past employees, random people, just across the board. So many just strangers, even business leaders, all feeling a little cocky about my career as now a venture capitalist, but as a business person, I'm still reminded who I have the privilege of being married to, and so in many ways,
Which is me.
Yes, that was my wife. For those of you who maybe don't know, and it puts in perspective the work that I do, which I take great pride in, but that I know still doesn't reach or affect as many people as you have and will continue to do. And part of that is all the things that you represent and all the things that you have done and overcome. And it makes me very proud and also humble to think, I was shocked by the surprise. And I know that seems like a random accolade, but as Jack is my witness, I thought that was pretty special. Jack Dorsey. I've never seen. I've never seen that happen before, and I've seen Serena Williams trend a few times.
Not always for the best reasons. Usually not for the best reasons. Do you think that this will force people in the VC world to make changes?
I hope so. I think let's look at all of business too, not even just VC or not even just tech, but all of business.
But VC in particular, because the disparity, it's as a VC that is not many people of color or women that are getting funding for businesses.
That's right.
So do you think that world in particular, my method, but I was wondering, do you think that this particular business needs to take a stand?
I think it will be in the best business interests of every industry, including and especially venture capital and tech, to do this, because part of my job is seeing these trends emerge, and I really believe that it is coming and will continue. The drumbeat will get louder, and as regular people realize how much influence they have. I mean, whether it's a private company or a public company, the amount of impact you can have on it just by calling, just by emailing, whether it's, all parts of their business have to respond to the market. And if the market is saying you need to change, actually will.
So you see the tech world and the VC world differently or together?
I think, well, okay, so VC definitely has a higher, Tech is still wrestling with and will still need to keep, and this is where we need everyone to hold all of us accountable, myself included. I think tech is just starting to realize the responsibility it has in our country, in our society. When we look, that dollar amount translates in influence. And so in the same way we think of holding our politicians accountable, we should be thinking about holding our mega corporations accountable. And where venture plays a role in this is when, that is the mechanism through which these companies get funded. And like you said, women and people of color, specifically blacks and Latinos, are woefully underfunded.
Especially black.
Well,
and Latinos too. It's shocking. And I actually have a company, it's called Serena Ventures, and the reason I started Serena Ventures was because I literally didn't see anyone that looked like me in this world. And then I read this article that it said at that point, when I started a few years ago, it said that less than 2% of VC money was actually going to help women. And I thought, whoa, that's crazy. You mean to tell me 98% is going to men, white men? And I'm thinking this is bananas. So I knew that I didn't have the funding to help, but I knew that there's so many people out there, there's so many companies that are able to, just have a better opportunity. You have Initialized, which is an huge VC company. Do you guys, how are you guys making that move to support us?
Yeah. Well, the conversation started probably last week at a new level around the venture community, because this is something that I think rarely venture firms talk about, which is the distribution of their funding to founders of color, even breaking down those statistics. And although we still have a lot of work to do, our numbers are still, it's less than 10% of investors in our last fund less than 10%, I think it was 7% of founders in our last fund were black. For a population that's like 12, 13, 14% of the country, give or take, that's terrible. That needs to be better. So while I was not proud of the numbers, because even though they were good relative to our peers, it's still not nearly good enough, I was proud of the fact that I think we're still one of the few firms that does publicly publish it. And I hope it does force other top tier firms to think about doing that, if not actually doing it. Because ultimately, amazing founders are going to come from all over this country, all over this world, frankly, and they're not all going to fit the titans of tech. Thus far, they're overwhelmingly male, they're overwhelmingly white, and that's because of a broken system. And I think, and this is where I cannot stress enough, the strength of numbers of people, whether they're on social media or wherever they are, actually makes an impact by holding leaders to account. And that's me too. We welcome the fact that we took criticism for not having a higher percentage of black founders in our current fund, right? We are not happy about it. We're disappointed with it.
You seem really comfortable with uncomfortable topics and situations.
That's because
it's not easy to look at yourself and look at your company and say, we could do better. To say, we could do better, I could do better, but it's very interesting for you to publicly, not just here on Serena Saturday, but to publicly talk about how you as a company can improve.
I hope, and part of it's because I have the privilege of being married to you. These conversations these are conversations that come up often, right? In one form or another. Because I'm
always on you, okay, who did you invest in? Did you get
or even things that are in that moment, to me, innocuous and harmless, you and I appreciate will check me on, and never in a disrespectful way, and always, when we are having our, and I think this is important, especially now more than ever, for all of us in white America, especially white men, to get comfortable with that pain, because I think a lot of
we're
us,
comfortable with it.
Clearly,
we're too comfortable with it, and
clearly,
it's uncomfortable. But we've gotten used to being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I welcome the discomfort, and when I talk about this, and I'll
and it's not right. We shouldn't be used to being uncomfortable.
No,
but I'm saying it's just been this way for over 400 years. So.
Yeah, I really, there have been so many moments where I've even seen things that you've had to deal with, like total just bullshit that you've had to deal with publicly. Think of, I scramble my brain trying to think of one time in my life where I walked into a room, a boardroom full of billionaires, and didn't feel totally welcome there. Like, at no point in my career did I ever feel like I was ever in the wrong room, or that I was ever getting judged for anything. And that is such an incredible privilege, to be able to walk through life knowing that I never had to prove myself in a room, ever. And then to see the things you have to deal with would infuriate me. I wouldn't laugh, it's infuriating. And so a duty to lean in to that discomfort. And it's, they're uncomfortable conversations, but they're long overdue. And it's not, I think there are a lot of us who were raised to think, don't be racist, which was the right advice, I think, but delivered in the wrong way. And it was that book that you recommended, White Fragility, that it framed it so perfectly for me, because we were all taught don't be racist, and we thought, okay, the last thing we want to do is be racist. We don't want to do that. But it created this binary situation where you're either racist or you're not. When in reality, it is this spectrum that we all that I live on, right? I am racist because of a system that I inherited, that I didn't do anything to deserve, that I am now a part of and complicit in, just by virtue of how I was born, where I was born, when I was born. And accepting that means, that's the first step, realizing, okay, I am comfortable knowing this painful thing. But it's the first step to knowing, all right, let me lean into that and figure out how, as anti-racist as one could be, but I think I will spend the rest of my life just trying to walk in that direction. And I think it's incumbent on us to accept that and look for that feedback and lean into that pain. Because when you tell me this stuff, it's still like my spidey sense tingles, because I still remember my entire childhood being told by well-intentioned, loving parents to just not be racist, period. And so the thought in, I think, a generation's heads was, as long as you're not doing the awful, violent, you're not burning crosses and you're not right, then you're fine. When that's the wrong actual message. And so I welcome it in the same way that and for my fellow gym goers, like when you're pushing that new weight, you feel a pain because your muscles are tearing. And that pain is, when you welcome that, you actually realize when those moments happen, and you try to frame it in that moment and think, okay, this is growth. This is, let me not get defensive. These are literally the words in my head. Alexis, don't get defensive right now, because this is your turn to listen and better understand. And it's easy because you are my wife, and right, I am aligned with you. We are equally yoked.
Well, it's different because I'm black, you're white. I'm always telling you that
you are letting me know when I'm doing things that are racist or sexist. Yeah, and that's great.
So
that's
I'm always letting you know what what I see, because I see things different. My whole life I've been taught to see things different because of who I am and because of the color of my skin. You see things different because of who you are and the color of your skin. And so I'm just telling you, and you're right, there's been so many situations that I've been in that, you know, I just have to take the high road, even to this day. And I just feel like, personally, it's no better time to be the color that I am. It's no better time to be black. I'm proud. I've always been proud to be who I am, to be black. And I just feel like I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be as strong as I am. I wouldn't be able to be as amazing as I have been so far in my career. I wouldn't be me if I wasn't black. And so I've always leaned into that, and I've always just, I get that from my parents. You know, they just really taught me the power of loving yourself. And it is really now more than ever a great time to love yourself and a great time to support yourself. But at the same time, like I said from the beginning, I feel like I just believe that I believe in the Bible. Back to Reddit, why was it important for you to ask for a black candidate to fill your seat?
Well, so there were definitely some misinformed people on the internet who thought they knew how boards worked, but it's different from hiring an employee, like a board of director. You know, it is important that board role. You know, in this case, it's 1 out of 5 board seats. You know, comes with a vote. That one vote, you know, equal to the other board members in nearly all cases. But that one vote is a chance to stand up for customers who aren't in that room, to stand up for investors who aren't in that room, to stand up for all the stakeholders. And, you know, while that does not actually connect to day-to-day operations of a company, the CEO still at the end of the day actually runs the company. They are accountable to the board. And so if that ends up being a really great leverage point to have change. And if there are things about the company you don't like, that board is a great leverage point to have things that you can change. And so regardless, when I thought about what Reddit, what the tech industry, what business needed now more than ever, was someone who had a position of power, you know, relatively speaking, to be able to say, you know what, there are too many white faces around the table. There have been for too long, and
how long is too long?
I mean, I founded Reddit 15 years ago. I've basically been on the board for quite some time. But this is, look, I had to look inward and really say, what are the things I can do beyond the donation, beyond anything else. But this isn't about Reddit
in particular.
This
is about taking a stand on such a big company, being a board member, being a co-founder of such a big company, and saying, I feel this way, and I'm making this statement more to you than, you know, other people can realize. And so it's really not about just one company.
That's right.
It's just about you taking a stand and you saying, like, all companies need to step up. This isn't just about you with your relationship with Reddit.
100%. And there are other boards that admittedly I'm still on, but you know, Reddit's a company that has 500-600 employees, obviously massive user base, and has a big impact. And it's one that I've been associated with for so many years because I co-founded it, like you said. And and in particular, a number of black men and women who found my email or through a friend sent me a note saying how much they appreciated the gesture simply because of all the rooms, all the boardrooms, all the executive rooms that they had walked into where they realized they had to prove themselves not only even more, but also then feel like they had the responsibility of advocating for all the other people who weren't in that room and who never even get the chance I know this puts Reddit in the best position possible, and I think if every company took a look around their boardrooms on Monday and really had the honest, hard conversation and said, are we doing the best by our customers and by our team and by our shareholders with this board makeup, I think we'd see even more change.
That is very deep, and that brings me to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
You also announced that you're going to donate future gains on your stock to serve the Black community and to curb hate, racial hate, starting with a $1 million pledge to Colin Kaepernick's no. I remember telling you, this is your decision to make. Ultimately, whatever you do, I'm going to support you. Yeah. This is not my decision to make. This is up to you. So this is all Alexis. Which is really cool. A lot of people might think that I told you to do something, or I forced you, like I was in your ear.
I'm sure you sometimes wish I weren't so stubborn, but
he doesn't listen to me ever. So
yeah,
that's not the case. So what brought you to that decision?
Well, Cap in particular. I mean, I felt he's clearly onto something. There's clearly an importance in that message, and then when it turned out he was losing his job and then being blackballed by the league, it was really, really disappointing. As a lifelong NFL fan, like diehard NFL fan, it made it really, really hard to watch football games, and I basically stopped. He was there so early advocating, and obviously Goodell at the end of the day, Friday, basically did a 180. But that seemed like an obvious first person to reach out to and say, hey, like we still have a lot of things to figure out, but I want to make sure the first million goes to the work that you're doing, and need to decide where the first Kaepernick statue should go. I think without a doubt, history is going to look at him like another Jackie Robinson, or you list the names of heroes who transcended their sport. But I think the important part for me was I've been very blessed, and I know, maybe to a fault, I'm very confident in my abilities as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a maker. And when I thought about what those dollars could do for a community that has clearly suffered for far too long, and that I, with my power, to make a better world for Olympia, I wanted to be able to answer that question from her with the clearest conscience, and this was the way to do it. And I'm not, we're obviously both a very fortunate couple, but I wanted to be able to say something and do something that had weight to it. And I really meant it when I said do not stop. This is the time for this country to start to have that painful conversation and start to figure out the proper reparations for its original sin. And I really do believe it will make us a better, stronger country. But I wanted to put as much weight behind the gesture as I could, because I felt like I owed it to you and I owed it to her.
Well, it's interesting because we live in a world where we live in a house, not a world. We live in a house where I'm so one way with my feelings in the Bible, and you're so another way with your feelings about the country and about this. And I definitely respect how you feel, and you really respect my religion and what I'm trying to do with my religion. And I think that just off subject and on just a different topic. I think it's really cool that we are able to respect each other and just always different views on some things. But that's okay. I just feel like the closer I get with my relation to God, and then I just understand so many things clearly, but then I see you doing so many amazing things that I'm so proud of you that you are doing. And it's crazy in this house. It's really interesting. We have a lot of fun. I have one more question.
Well, wait, I have to go there though, because I will say I have become a more spiritual person in this relationship, and I know it's something that's made me better as a person. And I think one of the areas, we were even talking about this last night, where one of the things that really just broke me at some point in the last week was I was looking at Olympia. Is such a pure, just blank canvas. She only knows love. There is not an ounce of hate in her body. Like, she can't even hate Mayor, oh my gosh, what's the bad guy in Paw Patrol?
Humdinger.
Mayor Humdinger. She can't even hate Mayor Humdinger when he's clearly a terrible mayor who isn't even running Foggy Bottom because he spends all of his time in the other place where the Paw Patrol is. Anyway, she doesn't have an ounce of hate in her body, and that's the crushing thing, and that is where that to me is born. Every child is that same blank canvas of pure love. And when I hear God is love, that really only connected to me through her. But it's having your perspective and your voice and those words around that help me connect those dots. But it helps me see those things. And you hear all your life about how hate is taught. Yeah, it is. It really is. And then to feel it in your home when you know that at some point Olympia's going to have a talk with you, a talk with us, but especially a talk with you about how she's going to have to work that much harder, how she's going to have to deal with this much more. That pisses me off. And so I'm this pissed off just now. Like, how long has, how have you been able to endure your entire life? How have generations of Black Americans been able to endure your entire life? Because if I'm just getting this mad right now, I wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely not easy. Like I said from the beginning, it's something that unfortunately has become a normal for us. Yeah. It's a normal to go in different places and feel unaccepted. It's just a normal. I entered a sport that was all white, and it definitely wasn't easy. Like, looking back, I was also very young, and I just adapted. I wasn't there to be like besties with anybody. I was just there to play tennis, and then that was it. And that all this is temporary, and that what I believe and what the Bible teaches is that there's so much more waiting if we are obedient, and if we exercise faith, and if we do what the Bible says. So I don't think I would be in this position. I think I would be very angry, very spiteful, very jealous if I didn't have that spiritual background. And because of all the things that I've been through, all the things that I go through, all the things that I see, sport that I chose, it's been a lot harder than a lot of other sports. But I do believe that that's the only reason that I've been able to come through is because of my belief in the Bible and my faith. On that note, this has been really great. So this is Serena Saturdays. We do this every Saturday. We took last Saturday off because of everything that was going on in the world. We wanted to be respectful. Usually we talk fashion, we talk life, we talk boys, we talk all kinds of stuff. We launched a really cool campaign on SerenaWilliams.com You go on Serena Williams and you can get a free S Pen. We'll pay for shipping, we'll pay for everything. And what's really cool is we just want you to share your story. And what does your S mean? So my dress today, it comes and has like a belt, and it says strong, spectacular, smart. I can't read the rest because it's twisted, swag, sensitive. So anyway, we really just want you to tell your S story, and what is that story? So I just wanted to read just one S story that we got from someone from, let's see, Survivor. So Denisha said, I have survived cancer and growing up in impoverished Inglewood, California. So thank you, Denisha, for sharing your S story. Please feel free to go on the handler @Serena, or you can go on @Serena Williams too, or you can go to serenawilliams.com, get a free S Pen, and share your S story, because we want to hear about it. Usually on Serena Saturday, we plan to talk about it today, but we ran out of time with Alexis, and we got to get to our kid because she's 2 and she needs to make sure that we need to make sure she's not in the flour and throwing sugar and everything around.
She tries so
She
hard
really
to
does.
bake and cook. She's still learning.
She really does. Well, thank you for joining me, Alexis.
Thanks,
thank you for giving